Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is William and this is Found in Japan. In my last video, we talked about part 1 of our trip, our family road trip to Legoland. And today I actually want to talk about what it was like in the park as opposed to going there and the snacks that we ate. When you first pull up to Legoland, there's a drive-through. Unfortunately, there is no parking, so you have to park behind it at a different parking deck, which is fine for us because we stayed at the hotel and it was a good place just to leave our car. I left my kids and my wife off at the front of the hotel and they pre-checked in because it was still before 10. From there, they took our bags and took them for us so that we wouldn't have to worry about it later. When we did get there at 10 and we were getting ready, there was a line. Even though it's still a state of emergency and it was limited capacity, there were people outside waiting. Luckily, because we stayed in the hotel, we got a fast pass to enter the park. When entering the park, they're following all types of sanitation protocols. All the staff are wearing masks and sanitizing people's hands and taking their temperature as they went in. Right as we got inside, there was this giant red dinosaur. It was super cool. It was a great way to set the theme. I don't know how many thousands of pieces it was, but it was really nice and I really liked it as an opener into Legoland. Right at the entrance near the information desk, they had some characters and lots of kids were lining up to take photos with them. We thought that we would do that later maybe, but unfortunately they actually stopped around 4 o'clock, so we missed out on that. So if you do want to take photos with the mascots, I would suggest that you do that early on in the day. The first thing that we did was we went to the Lego factory tour, and it's right inside the gate, and I'm glad that we did it first because it was really cool to see how Legos are made. There are tons of designs and Legos on the walls as you walk up, and one of the first things that you do is you go through a little guided tour and video room. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any pictures or video in that room as it is prohibited, but it was really cool to see the actual mass production of how Legos are created, and they discussed all the colors and types. It was obviously made in English and has been dubbed into Japanese, but there was English subtitles, so if you can't understand Japanese, you can still enjoy it if you can read English. Once you exit that room, you actually walk into an assembly area where they show the Legos being extruded, the plastics being melted, and it even has an area where they show how everything is being stamped and the logo for the factory was being made. Right outside of that, there's a giant bin area that would have lots of varieties of Legos. Unfortunately, didn't work for us because of the COVID situation. That has been canceled or it's off limits, which is probably for the best to keep people from just touching a bunch of Legos. Right as you leave this huge area is that there's this giant statue. I looked and that statue has 345,984 pieces. That is so many Legos. It said that it took 23,600 hours or 98 days to build that. Now, I'm sure it was a team, but that's still a huge amount of Legos. As we walked counterclockwise, anti-clockwise around the park, the first place that we went to was the Adventure. This is kind of like the Indiana Jones themed area, and it was really cool. I love Indy Jones. I love those adventure ideas. I used to watch the Lego Adventure series, so it was really nice to see all these things that were really recognizable in real world ideas. There's a gigantic submarine that is sticking out of the side of one of the rides, and it had 642,550 pieces. Took 2,330 hours. It's really big, it's really cool, it's really yellow. I love submarines, so it was cool to see that. I can't imagine building that though, even though we have a small submarine like Lego in my house. We went on the first adventure ride, which was cool because it had real fish in it. The ride is actually a mounted submarine that goes down into a water park and then swims around and floats on. It was cool. There's a maximum occupancy of 15 people per ride, but my family were the only people that were on it, so it was really comfortable to look at all the windows. Inside there was this like map of all the different fish and aquatic life that you could find inside. There were some actually rather large sharks, and my children really liked those. They looked really cool and they were swimming around, so it was really nice to see that. There were also some really cool underwater Lego statues, and one of them was of Poseidon, or the king god of the sea, and it was really cool. Directly outside of that is this giant octopus Lego. Again, over 368,000 pieces and more than 2,100 hours to build. It's really cool. It's like up in the air, and it was really, really neat. The overall theme of the adventure area was really nice and worked really well. Unfortunately, some of the other rides were closed. There was a little place for kids to play, like a jungle gym and run around. And of course, my kids took the chance to run around in there. Definitely eats up line time that you could be waiting for a ride. But it was nice to let them get some energy out before we did the next sit down thing. Right here, there's another huge, cool pharaoh statue that's more than 200,000 pieces. So I can't imagine putting that together, but it was cool. Inside this theme ride, there were also Legos on the wall of spiders and scarabs and a bunch of different stuff. This ride consisted of using light or laser guns to shoot icons on the wall, and when you did, they changed colors and it made a noise, and if you did all three in a sequence, then they might change. My daughters weren't big enough to ride by themselves, so my wife and I took one each, and then my son rode by himself. We didn't know this, but at the end, you're actually given a score, and needless to say, I did really well. It was actually really fun, a good ride to get, used to moving around outside. Outside of that might have been my favorite place or my next to favorite place, because it was an outside mini park of different cities and places in Japan, with replicas of what each city looks like and what it's known for. It featured many of the major cities in Japan: Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima. Many of the famous landmarks are there: Tokyo Tower, Abe no Harukazu, the famous temples in Kyoto. There's too many to really name them. It also featured the Ikutsushima Shrine, which is in Hiroshima, and that's the big torii gate that's out in the ocean. I visited there with my family some time ago, and it was cool, but the representation in Legos also works really well. After that, we passed through the pirate shores knowing that we were going to come back out through that way, and we went to Knight's Kingdom. This area is all night themed, and it was also really cool. All the Legos fit really, really well with the design. We went to this area to find lunch because while it was now around 11:15 or so, our kids were pretty hungry and we didn't want to be stuck in line waiting for food. The first place that we came across that was like a real place to eat had hamburger steak, so like hamburger dishes, and it looked decent. It was kind of expensive, but it wasn't really what we were looking for. So what we decided was to pass on that, and we were going to go to a different section to find something to eat there. Next, we went over to the car area where there's all the racing and car ideas and the movie stuff, and we found a hamburger sandwich shop, and it was really, really nice. It looked like a kind of diner inside. There was already a line, and it was starting to stack up, but it was still pretty quick because all they're doing is making burgers and fries. There were kids sets, and they were tiny. The potatoes actually were shaped like Lego, the French fries, and there were little like burgers. They were quite tiny. My kids really enjoyed it. I ordered the biggest burger. It was quite expensive, but it was really nice. It was kind of like a multi-layered hamburger. The bread was Lego shaped, and it was a little dry, and it was a little hard to eat. I kind of think I got more of it the first couple of times on my beard than I did in my mouth, but I eventually got a hold of it and could get to eating it. My wife got like a soft bun burger, and it had a decal of Lego guys burned into it. It was really cute. I think it was a fried shrimp croquette, but she really liked it. It did taste good, and it was nice to have that change from just a burger. So when we finished that, there's this little playground area, and my kids wanted to run around and burn off some of the food that they had just eaten, and they really enjoyed themselves running around. What was nice is there was shaded spots with benches to sit down. That's not always the case at theme parks or in Japan. If you've never been here, it's really hard to find like a bench in public. They've done that on purpose, but it was really nice in the theme park to be able to sit down, be shaded. We would let them run around for about 15 minutes, and then we found a next activity which my kids also really enjoyed. The next activity was a little driving school and driving experience. They took the kids' pictures and put them on little license cards if you wanted to buy that. The first thing that we had to do after we waited in line for a little bit was go through a driving school. Again, this was like the factory. There was a video presentation, but we couldn't do anything with it. I just had to like turn the camera off, but it was really nice. They taught all the rules of the road and how to drive safely. It was really nice. After that, the kids left the room, they got in their cars, they walked us out to an observation area, and they drove around. If the kids actually collided with each other or hit the curb, they'd raise their hand, they'd reset their cars, and they could drive around some. It was a little wild at times, but it was nice to see my kids from 5 to 10 were driving around and really enjoyed it. From there, we were gonna watch a movie, but the line was crazy, so we just gave up on that, and we moved on to a family activity. They had this like fire station push-pull activity where you moved levers to move a car across the field, and then you got out and you moved levers again, and it sprayed water up via hydraulics into a fire cabinet and put out the fire, and you get back in your car and you push your way back across. It's quite fun. My wife and son were in one car, and I and my daughters in another. And when it was all done, everybody claps. You did a great job. And it was actually pretty fun for the wait. It was also a nice way to get some energy out for my kids. And from here is where I thought it would take a long time, but it was actually pretty nice. We moved back to Knight's Kingdom to ride roller coasters. Now, my son does not like roller coasters. We found this out in America when we went to a theme park, and he freaked out. He did ride some, but not a lot. And I think at Disney, he also didn't ride much. But we lined up and we rode a small roller coaster. Makes a couple laps. It's kind of fun. There's no loops, not too fast, but did take a long time because a lot of little kids wanted to ride that ride. From there, we went to ride the Dragon, the big roller coaster, because now everyone had some confidence about riding a roller coaster. And I thought it was going to be horrible, but it only had 5 minutes of waiting, and the queue line was almost entirely empty, which was really nice. Inside was air conditioned. We walked in, we waited, we got ready to ride, and then something dropped on the track and there was a problem. So it was really cool. They were really safe. They marched everyone out. They ran the track a couple times. They found what had dropped, and then we got on the ride. So all in all, I think we actually waited about 15 minutes to ride, but as you know, for a theme park, that's nothing. It was really nice. It was really fast. It was about 1 minute. It went really quick, but all my kids loved it, and they actually said they wanted to ride it again, but we decided that we should probably try to ride something else. Following that, we went to like a little spin around ride. There was a little wait to get in because it's mainly for little kids, so everything has to be secured and put away, and it requires a parent and a child. This was a problem for me because I was too big. I'm about 2 meters tall, so when I got into the ride, my knees hit the front, so I spread my legs. Well, when I spread the leg, the safety bar like clipped me, and then we had to get off and they had to relatch everybody. Felt bad for my youngest daughter because she had to wait, but my wife rode it again with her and it spun them around and they had a lot of fun. This is when the problem happened. I realized that I had lost my phone. I had it on the Dragon ride, but I didn't have it now. So I went to the Dragon ride, I asked the attendant, and they said they had taken it to the front. Luckily, they did have it at the front. They put it in a locker. I had to prove that it was mine, but I did get it back, and that was really nice. They asked for some ID and that kind of stuff. After that, we went to the Ninjago area, which is the Asia, Japan themed area, and it's actually smaller and off to the side, but they have some fun things like rock climbing. There's a touching game to see who has the fastest reaction time. My wife wanted to ride this big ornithopter ride where you spin around. Unfortunately, my youngest daughter was too short to ride it, but my first daughter and my son and my wife rode it, and they spun around and flipped around, and they really enjoyed it. I didn't ride it because I want to stay with my daughter, and unfortunately, due to time, I thought it was better that I just skipped that ride. But it was cool. You can actually spin upside down and do lots of cool stuff. Before we were leaving the park, we decided to go back to Pirate Shores, and it was really nice. It was a good way to finish. There were some little play areas, and actually there was one ride where it's a slow boat and you ride through and you spray stuff. You spray people on the side of the boats, you spray other boats, you spray people who are walking by, and they spray you back. My kids really enjoyed it. I definitely got more wet than anybody else. It was really fun. Definitely in the summertime, that would be really refreshing. After that, it was around 4:30, and from 5 o'clock, we were actually going to be involved in a demo lesson or classroom for Lego. We left the park, we said goodbye, we looked at all the Legos one last time, and we walked directly across the street to the hotel. It was really nice. It was really clean. They were doing a good job of checking everybody to make sure everything was safe. Needless to say, my kids were a little excited. So here's a little tour of what the elevator and the hotel room looked like. There's a treasure box, but we don't know what's inside, and there is a lock and key. And there's actually like a puzzle sheet that will give us the code of how to open it. Something that was really nice was we dropped our bags off this morning at 9:30 when we got here, and they actually put our bags up here for us. So when we checked in this afternoon, we just scanned a barcode and they brought them to us, and it was really nice. One thing that I thought was really cool was in the hallway, there were like these sanitation stickers that showed, oh, this room has been cleaned. So we took that off our room, but it was cool to see that, to know that like the cleaning staff had been through. On the second floor, as I went down, I noticed that there was a play area which would come in handy later. So from 5 o'clock, they had the demo room, and the workshop was really great. They gave great directions. My 5-year-old daughter and my almost 10-year-old son, they both enjoyed it. My middle daughter, who just turned 7, also did. It was well lit, it was clean, it was really well organized. At the end, they allowed for a little picture time. The instructor did a really great job with getting everyone their pieces and able to take a photo. And that was just really nice. Directly following that, my kids went to pool time. So at this hotel, pool time has to be pre-registered, and we were set for 5:30. So my kids actually went to the workshop in their pool clothes and then went directly to the pool. We only got 30 minutes, but that was enough for before dinner to just cool off and get relaxed. And during that time, my wife was in the room getting unpacked and relaxing. Following pool time, it was time to get dinner. So we went to Maker's Beer, and it was really nice. There were lots of shops, there was lots of restaurants. Unfortunately, lots of them were already closed or closing. One of the first places that we saw was this giant meat place that showed all the cuts on the side of the building. It was a really nice looking, and I can guarantee you that my dad would love that place. My brothers too, for that matter. They had all the normal types of food like udon, ramen, a cheesecake place. The restaurant we decided to go to was the family style restaurant, and it was really nice. They had a lot of foods that feature red miso or aka miso, which is a staple of Nagoya style food. When we got into the restaurant, they notified us that last order would be soon, which was kind of a shock to us, but then again, it is the state of emergency. So we made our orders, and while we were playing, we played the Ise no De game. I actually don't know what it's called. It's like the thumb game, but it's really fun. Each person takes both their hands together and you raise your thumb, and you go around the group and you say a number, and however many thumbs are sticking up, if that's your number, then that person gets to take their hand away. And once you have both your hands taken away, you win. It's really fun. It's a great way to waste time, but my kids really like it. Nagoya is famous for things like red miso and kishimen, or fat udon thick noodles. My kids ordered some just general plates of stuff, but my daughter got a plate of somen, and I got what was really delicious, which is the miso katsu teishoku. It featured pork cutlet or katsu in red miso with egg. It had chawanmushi, which is a steamed egg custard that's savory, rice, some pickles, and then some of the kishimen or the fat noodles. And it was very delicious, and I definitely would suggest, if you can go to Nagoya, to get a akamisukatsu because it was delicious. Directly after finishing dinner, we went outside and they had a little grass area where we had walked before. There's some light music and some other kids are playing a frisbee, and we just walked around and enjoyed the evening a little. After that, we headed back for bath time, and then we did what you do when you're in a Japanese hotel. We put on yukata. So yukata are like the kimono looking light linen clothes, and almost all big Japanese hotels will have them in a drawer somewhere, and they had 5, and we put them all on and we took some family photos, and it was really nice. It's really cool to wear them. They're like lightweight, but it was nice. So while we're in our yukata, right before bed, there was like we did the puzzle box that I showed in the tour, and each of my kids got a pack of Legos that was inside, so it was a nice little treat. Then my kids were out. It was like 9 o'clock, and they had a really cool 3-layer bed. So it was like twin beds, double bed, and then underneath was another bed that pulled out. And my kids really enjoyed doing that because they usually sleep on the futon. So it was nice to do that. That was the end of the day. It was like 10 o'clock and we all just went to bed. The next morning, we all got up around 8. We watched some Lego TV. And then at 9 o'clock, we decided to get all our stuff packed up and we went downstairs. There was a buffet style breakfast, and it is from a set time. So ours was from 9:30. The buffet was quite nice. They had salads, yogurts, puddings, meat products, different types of steamed veg. They had seafood. Of course, they had rice and miso soup. There was also a drink bar. It was all self-serve, but it was nice because they gave us gloves and sanitation equipment, so you wouldn't be touching food that was out on the buffet. I really enjoyed all of the sweets that were on the buffet. Following that, my wife went back to the room to clean up and pack and get stuff organized, and I took kids to the second floor playground. They ran around. I think my daughter hit her head and didn't even notice. She was just having so much fun. So it was really nice to have that there. Following that, we went to the gift shop to find some gifts for friends. We also made a 3-pack of little miniature Legos, and each of my kids got to make their own person, and we bought that and brought it home. So it just happened to be the perfect number that we could get 3. Following that, at 11 o'clock, we checked out of the hotel. We said goodbye to the staff. We did a little survey, and they were really, really nice. We got some gifts from them, and we headed out through Maker's Pier. So we're done with Legoland and the hotel, and we've got our bag of gifts for our friends, and my kids are inside doing little marble free thing, and they were really nice. We mentioned that my daughter was having a birthday this week, and they gave us some seals and a card, and she's super excited. There is a birthday package, but we didn't get it. But before we go home, I'm going here and I'm getting gelato because I love gelato. So we'll take some video and pictures of that, and then we'll start heading back towards Osaka. So I do have some video of inside picking the gelato, but it was melting so fast and we wanted to eat it so quick that I couldn't get any pictures or video. We ended up getting green tea, chocolate fondant and blueberry cheesecake, and it was all delicious, and I think in about a minute and a half it was gone. Following that, we stopped at a bread shop, and it's actually called Antique, and there used to be one near our house, but this one is, I guess it's a chain, but that one's gone. So we picked up some bread. They had really cute cat themed bread. It's called a neko or cat, and they had tiramisu, chocolate pudding, mango pudding. They had a chocolate raspberry and a cheesecake, and we ended up getting a couple pieces of bread, and it was nice to have for the ride back. So then it was time to head back. Hi, back to Osaka. Shupatsu!
Shingo!
So we drove for about an hour, and then we stopped at Tsuchiyama rest area. So Tsuchiyama is pretty close to where we stopped Kona on the way, but a little closer to Nagoya. It was a brand new rest area. It was really clean inside. They had lots of nice clean shops inside. There was a nice digital board outside that showed the traffic across the whole area. They had 2 of them actually located outside the restrooms, so you could see what the traffic was like where you were going. Inside the rest area, they of course had the standard gift shops, but they also had some restaurants, and they had a 7-Eleven, and I was really excited. I don't usually go to 7-Eleven, as I've said in some other videos. So right now, there's a lemonade cold brew and a triple yellow golden energy drink, which I haven't been able to find, and I bought both of them, and there will be a card right here for the lemon cold brew, and that was a short, it's just 1 minute long, and down below I'll have a link, an affiliate link, that if you want to check out ordering it from Amazon, you can do that. And here should be a link to the short for the golden energy drink, and I'll see if I can't find an Amazon link for that and put that below as well. Following that, we drove about another hour and 20 minutes between Kyoto and Osaka, and we made it home. All in all, it was a really great trip, and I'm really glad that we could go. I think all in all, we spent around $1,000 for a 2-day trip for 5 people, including Legoland, and I think it was really worth it. For sure, if you have little kids, Legoland is great. I'd probably say 11 or 12 is maybe the cutoff for interest for kids, unless they love Lego, and then they could go anytime, like this guy. That's all for this episode. If you're interested in seeing some more content, please, find another video somewhere up around here, and we'll see you in the next video for what can be found in Japan. Bye. Sayonara. Abayo.